Boston Dynamics just dropped a major Atlas update. The robot can now lift a loaded fridge, handle shifting weight, and move its body in ways humans physically cannot. At the same time, Unitree's G1 is responding to live voice commands, while Gatsby is testing humanoid robots as on-demand home cleaners. Humanoids are no longer just looking impressive. They are starting to work, so let's talk about it. Alright, the biggest update comes from Boston Dynamics, because the company just revealed how Atlas learned to lift and carry a heavy mini-fridge using reinforcement learning and large-scale simulation. In the demo, Atlas rotates its torso 180 degrees, squats down, grabs the fridge, lifts it, carries it across the lab, and brings it to an engineer sitting nearby. At first, it almost looks weird because Atlas does not move like a human in a robot suit. It moves like a machine with a completely different body design. The torso can turn in ways a human body cannot. The robot can move forward and backward with unusual confidence, and the whole body shifts around the object instead of just grabbing it with its hands. That detail is the whole point. Boston Dynamics is not trying to show that Atlas can simply pick something up. They are showing that Atlas can use whole body control. When a human lifts something awkward and heavy, we do not just use our fingers. We lean into the object. We brace it with our arms. We adjust our legs. We feel the weight shift. Sometimes we use our torso, knees, shoulders, or forearms without even thinking about it. Boston Dynamics is trying to give Atlas that same kind of physical intelligence. And that is why the mini fridge is actually a smart test. A fridge is not a neat little box. It is bulky, awkward, and heavy. Boston Dynamics says Atlas was trained on loads between 50 and 70 pounds, yet during real testing, it successfully moved a loaded fridge weighing more than 100 pounds. That is a major jump, especially because the weight inside the fridge was not perfectly balanced. They filled it with random objects from around the lab, meaning the mass could shift while Atlas was carrying it. So Atlas had to do more than replay a clean animation. It had to adapt while moving. This is where proprioception becomes important. A lot of robot demos depend heavily on cameras. Vision is useful, of course, but heavy physical work cannot rely only on looking at an object. Boston Dynamics says Atlas uses internal body awareness to understand balance, grip, resistance, weight, and body position. In simple terms, the robot is not just seeing the fridge, it is also sensing how the fridge is affecting its body. That makes the task much harder, but also much more realistic. In a factory or warehouse, objects will not always sit in the perfect position. Floors will have different friction, loads may shift, grip may change, the robot may get bumped or disturbed, so Atlas has to deal with physical uncertainty, not just visual uncertainty. Now, the way Boston Dynamics trained this behavior is one of the most interesting parts. They started with a reference trajectory, which can be a teleoperated demonstration, an animation, or a more abstract goal. For the fridge task, they began with a simple animation. Then, they trained Atlas using reinforcement learning. Basically, the robot practiced the movement again and again in simulation, and it was rewarded for doing the right things. Keeping the object in place, maintaining grip, staying balanced, keeping the fridge in the right position and orientation, and finishing the task even when disturbances were added. Then the scale gets crazy. Boston Dynamics says Atlas practiced the moves for millions of hours in simulation, running in parallel on GPUs. During that training, they used domain randomization, which means they did not train the robot in one perfect virtual world. They changed the weight of the fridge, the position of the fridge, the friction of the floor, the grip level, and even small variations in motor strength. All of this makes the final behavior more robust, because the robot learns to survive many versions of the same task. Then comes the real test. Once the policy works well in simulation, the engineers transfer it to the real Atlas, test it on hardware, collect real-world data, and use that data to improve the next version. Boston Dynamics describes this as a build it, break it, fix it mindset, now connected to a modern AI training pipeline. And this brings us to one of the most important technical claims in the entire update. Boston Dynamics says the new Atlas has a very small sim-to-real gap. That may sound like a boring robotics term, but it is a huge deal. The sim-to-real gap is the difference between how well a robot performs in simulation and how well it performs in the physical world. In simulation, everything is cleaner. The floor friction is known, the robot model is perfect, the motors respond predictably, sensors are not messy. But in the real world, there is latency, vibration, sensor noise, uneven friction, small hardware differences, and random physical problems. That is why so many robot behaviors look great in simulation and then fall apart on real hardware. Boston Dynamics says Atlas reduces that gap because the hardware is simpler and easier to model accurately. The robot uses only 2 types of actuators across the body. Both arms are identical, both legs are identical. Some major structures are repeated as well. This kind of repetition helps with manufacturing, maintenance, and simulation fidelity. When the digital version of the robot closely matches the real machine, trained behaviors transfer much more reliably. Atlas also uses rotary actuators, and Boston Dynamics says those are easier to represent in simulation. The robot's joints also have infinite rotation because the company eliminated cables running across the joints. That is a very important hardware change. Cables can limit movement, wear out, and become failure points. Removing them allows Atlas to move in those strange but efficient ways, like rotating its torso completely around. Even the feet are designed differently. They are symmetrical in the front and back because Atlas is meant to move forward and backward with equal ability. Arms, legs, hands, and the head are also field replaceable units, which means they can be swapped out in a few minutes. That matters because Boston Dynamics is clearly thinking about real deployment. If robots are going to work in factories, downtime has to be low, repairs have to be fast, and parts need to be replaceable. This is also why Boston Dynamics keeps defending its athletic demos. People often see handstands and backflips and think they are just viral tricks. But the company says those movements build skills that matter for real work. Balance, agility, slip recovery, full body coordination, thermal endurance, and motion through constrained spaces. A 90-kilogram or 198-pound robot doing handstands needs strong hardware and serious thermal management. That same thermal performance could matter in hot industrial environments. And even the grippers tell a story. The hands used in the fridge experiment are not Boston Dynamics' newest grippers. They are workhorse grippers the company has been using for about a year and a half. They are strong enough to support Atlas's full body weight during a handstand, which is much heavier than the mini fridge. Boston Dynamics says it is already testing a newer dexterous gripper, so the manipulation side of Atlas is still moving forward. Now, this Atlas update becomes even more serious when you connect it to Hyundai. Hyundai Motor Group owns Boston Dynamics, and according to reports, Hyundai plans to deploy more than 25,000 Atlas humanoid robots across Hyundai Motor and Kia manufacturing facilities in the United States. The company is also aiming for annual production capacity of 30,000 Atlas robots by 2028. On top of that, Hyundai plans to manufacture more than 300,000 actuator units per year in the US. Those actuators are the components that power the robot's joints and movement, basically acting like robotic muscles. The reported rollout would begin at Hyundai Motor Group Meta Plant, America in Georgia in 2028, followed by Kia's Georgia plant in 2029. Hyundai has not given every exact detail yet, and we still do not know which tasks Atlas will handle first. But the scale of the plan is huge. This is not a company talking about 1 or 2 test robots in a corner of a lab. This sounds like a serious attempt to integrate humanoids into automotive manufacturing. That is why Boston Dynamics keeps talking about mass scale. The simplified actuator system, repeated assemblies, replaceable parts, and high-fidelity simulation all connect to the same goal. Make Atlas powerful enough for real work and simple enough to build and maintain at large numbers. But Boston Dynamics is not the only company pushing humanoids forward. Unitree has also released a new demo for its G1 humanoid robot, and this one focuses on voice-driven action. The video was posted on May 19, 2026, under the title Voice-Driven, Real-Time Arbitrary Action Generation. In the demo, G1 responds to external voice commands and generates full-body movements in real time. Unitree says the footage was recorded in a single take, with on-site audio, and that the robot's actions were autonomously generated by AI live. They also admit that because the movement is generated in real time, there may be slight latency and reduced smoothness. The important part is not the voice recognition. Turning speech into text is already much easier than controlling a humanoid body. The hard part is taking a spoken command and turning it into a physically stable movement. A humanoid has to coordinate legs, arms, torso, head, timing, balance, and ground contact. If the motion generator creates something unstable, the robot can lose balance or produce movements that look unnatural or physically impossible. A likely pipeline would convert the voice command into text, interpret the action, generate a motion sequence, and then send that movement to a whole body controller that keeps the robot stable. But Unitree has not released a detailed technical paper for this specific demo, so several things remain unclear. We do not know whether G1 is generating movements from scratch, choosing from a motion library, blending motion primitives, or using a text-to-motion system connected to real-time control. We also do not know whether the processing is fully on board, running on nearby hardware, or partly cloud-assisted. So the safest conclusion is that Unitree's demo is impressive, but it does not prove fully open-ended robot intelligence yet. Still, the direction is obvious. Humanoids are moving away from joystick control and pre-programmed routines, and toward natural commands, where a person can simply tell the robot what to do. Then there is Gatsby, which is taking a very different path. Instead of building the most advanced robot body, Gatsby is trying to build the service layer that puts humanoids into homes. On May 14, 2026, Gatsby says it completed the first residential cleaning service by an autonomous humanoid robot for an end consumer in the United States. The job happened in San Francisco. A homeowner was randomly selected from Gatsby's growing waitlist, booked the service through the Gatsby iOS app, and a humanoid robot was sent to clean the apartment. The service costs $150 per cleaning, regardless of apartment size. That is important because Gatsby is not trying to sell people a $20,000+ robot to keep in a closet. Instead, it wants to create something closer to an Uber-style model for humanoid robots. You do not buy the robot, you book the job. The company was started in January 2026 by Aaron Frischberg under parent company West Egg Labs. Gatsby says it is live in San Francisco, backed by NVIDIA, Inception, and Entrepreneurs First, and already has a large waitlist in the Bay Area, along with demand from other parts of the country. Cleaning is a smart first market because almost everyone understands the pain point. Housework takes time, people dislike it, and professional apartment cleaning in San Francisco can cost around $150 to $300 depending on size. Gatsby is trying to compete with that directly using a flat-rate humanoid service. The interesting business angle is that Gatsby does not want to be locked to one robot maker. The company says it is building software, navigation, user interface, and the consumer distribution layer needed to make robots useful in homes. If one robot is best this month, Gatsby can use it. If a cheaper or better robot appears next month, Gatsby can switch hardware without rebuilding the entire business. So the big question is, when humanoid robots finally become common, where do you think they will appear first? Factories, warehouses, or homes? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more AI and robotics updates. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.